Did you know one African emperor outsmarted every European power trying to conquer his nation and crush them in a single day? In the 1880s, Europe was carving up Africa like a map on a table. Ethiopia was next on Italy's list. But Emperor Menelik II had other plans. For years, he played European nations against each other. France, Russia, Britain, he charmed them all, trading diplomacy for rifles, artillery, and ammunition. By 1895, he had armed over 100,000 soldiers with modern weapons. When Italy finally marched in, confident and arrogant, Menelik was ready. On March 1st, 1896, at the Battle of Way, his forces surrounded and shattered the Italian army in hours. Over 6,000 Italian soldiers were killed. It was the worst defeat any European power had suffered on African soil. Rome was humiliated. Every colonial capital in Europe went into shock. But the ripples went further. From the Caribbean to India, freedom fighters pointed to Ethiopia and said, "Look, it can be done." One battle changed what was possible. Winston Churchill's life story explained in 1 minute. Did you know Churchill spent over a decade being laughed at before saving the world? Winston Churchill was born in 1874 into one of Britain's most powerful families. He served in wars across 3 continents, became a celebrated war hero, and rose fast through British politics. But by the 1930s, he was finished. Pushed to the sidelines, seen as a loudmouth and a relic, he spent nearly 10 years warning anyone who would listen that Adolf Hitler was building something catastrophic. Nobody wanted to hear it. He was mocked in Parliament. His own party ignored him. He was 60 years old with no power and no allies. Then Germany invaded Poland. Then France fell. Then Britain stood alone. In May 1940, with Europe collapsing and no good options left, Britain handed Churchill everything. He became prime minister at the worst possible moment in modern history and refused to surrender. His speeches steadied a nation. His stubbornness outlasted an empire. Churchill's story is proof that being right eventually matters, even when the world takes forever to notice. Cleopatra's life story explained in 1 minute. Most people think of Cleopatra as a seductress. The real story is far more impressive. Born in 69 BC, Cleopatra was the first ruler of her dynasty to actually learn Egyptian. She also mastered 8 other languages. She was a trained politician before she turned 20. When her brother seized the throne and forced her into exile, she didn't accept it. She smuggled herself back into Egypt, allied with Julius Caesar, and reclaimed her crown. After Caesar was assassinated, she pivoted fast. She aligned with Mark Antony, the most powerful Roman general alive, and together they tried to build a new empire in the East. For years, it worked. But then Antony faced Octavian in battle at Actium in 31 BC and lost. That defeat ended everything. Egypt fell not because Cleopatra was outplayed, but because the war went the wrong way. She was 39 years old when it was over. Cleopatra's story is about how close one person came to changing the entire ancient world. Julius Caesar's life story explained in 1 minute. Did you know the Roman Senate thought Caesar was someone they could control? They were wrong. Caesar was born in 100 BC into a noble but struggling Roman family, while Rome's elite looked down on him. He spent decades building loyalty where it actually mattered, with soldiers, with the poor, with the people the Senate ignored. He conquered Gaul over the 8 brutal years, adding more land to Rome than any general before him. That made him too powerful, and the Senate ordered him to disband his army. In 49 BC, Caesar crossed the Rubicon River with his troops. That was illegal. That was war. And he knew exactly what he was doing. He took Rome without a fight and became the most powerful man alive. The Senate assassinated him in 44 BC, convinced they had saved the Republic. They had destroyed it. His adopted son Augustus became the first emperor, and everything Caesar's enemies feared came true anyway. Caesar didn't just win. He changed what winning meant. Alexander the Great's life story explained in 1 minute. Did you know Alexander the Great had conquered most of the known world before he was old enough to be a U.S. senator? Alexander was born in 356 BC in Macedonia, the son of King Philip II. From childhood, he was trained by the philosopher Aristotle and groomed for power. At just 20 years old, he became king. Within a decade, he had defeated the Persian Empire, marched through Egypt, crossed into India, and built the largest empire the ancient world had ever seen. But then something broke. There was no world left to conquer. Alexander turned to wine, grew paranoid, and in a drunken rage, killed his closest friend Cletus with a spear. The man who had never lost a battle was losing himself. At 32, he died in Babylon. No clear cause, no chosen successor. His generals immediately started tearing the empire apart. Alexander's story is a warning. Winning everything faster than anyone in history gave him nothing left to live for.